right.
What's
How
up,
you doing?
man?
Welcome
Good.
to the podcast.
Thank you.
Again, my best friend Tim.
No, it's not true.
I know. Yeah, I could
His
tell.
other cousin.
You pay
His
him to
other
say
cousin
it.
gets
He
pissed
needs
too.
This is his lead
No,
gen
yeah,
now.
yeah,
right.
You're good. You're good. So this is just sit down and talk basically about you and your company, which is awesome. So for people that don't know you, if you could just go into maybe like a little bit about you, pretend like no one knows who you are, you and what your company is and what you are and who you are.
Yeah, so my name's Ben. Obviously, you guys know that. I co-run a men's skincare company. It's called Pretty Boy. We've been selling now in the market for a little over 3.5 years. Really just approached it, wanted to sell kind of simple clinical grade skincare for guys who live similar lifestyles to us. So we say active lifestyles. My co-founder played football at Ohio State, won a ring in 2015. So athletes, guys on the go, business professionals. And what we found, both of us dealt with skin issues. He has eczema. I had acne when I was a younger kid. In the men's space specifically, there was just like a lack of quality. So ingredients, irritating fillers, fragrances. So just like nothing that a dermatologist would look at. And for guys like us, be like, hey, go use this instead of your Cetaphil, your CeraVe, the junk drugstore products.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, there were some characteristic things. So simplicity, guys don't want to do these 5-step routines that our wives, girlfriends, families, they're using 17 products and potions, and it's not for us. So it's like simplicity, texture. Women, they put makeup on every day. They're used to feeling something on their face that's very different. Guys, we are not, other than shaving cream, and you take that off right away. So it had to feel super, super, super lightweight, blended immediately, zero grease. And so we started with those two things. And then obviously most brands and consumer these days, there's a brand behind it. It's a lifestyle element. You're buying the product. And I mean, is that Bad Birdie?
It is.
Yeah. So I know Bad Birdie because I know they do cool things in golf and Malbon. And so it's like, how do you create a lifestyle feel that you'd be super proud to have on your countertop, pull out of your Dob kit on a bachelor party? And so fusing all those things together, we found some white space. And so far it's been working. And that's that's the value prop that we've been trying to pursue. And we do really well at certain skin conditions, concerns, and trying to enhance our ability to be better with others. But yeah, that's the gist.
Tell a little about when did you start that company?
So we started working on it in December of 2020.
Also perfect timing.
Yeah, great timing. Actually, for what we do is friggin' amazing timing. Online business popped like insane. Started thinking through it, spent about 6 months going through the R&D process. Launched in 6 to 12 months, and I've got some funny thoughts about this, like business plans and whether they're worth doing at all. I'm anti-business plan at my core.
I agree. You waste more time doing the business.
It's so insane.
I think a ready, fire, aim.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's what I think that's where we've gotten to. But so we spent like a year writing all our thoughts on paper, and then to your point, it's like, dude, we just got to like move. Like, let's do something that it gets us closer to the next day.
Yep.
This does make me think of, I think, probably an obvious question. That's a big money industry, and you guys are small fish in a really big sea. I mean, how did you muster up the courage to pursue the business, even if you thought you had a decent idea and overall plan of action?
Yeah, great question. Twofold. One, I think innovation and competition go hand in hand. So like every Uber needs a Lyft. Like Kevin, my co-founder, says that all the time. So we were like, dude, there's plenty. I mean, there's 320 million people. I think I Googled this a couple weeks ago. I think consumers as a whole spend some amount of trillions every year in the US. The money's exchanging hands. So it's like, you always need to find somewhere to be different. I already outlined how we're different. So we were like, okay, we have something different. Let's go try and give it a swing. And the second piece of that is what I said, there's just so much money going around. So we knew that there was innovation to be had and difference within our category, and no one is still doing it the way that we are specific to men. Yep. But we also just knew there's a bunch of dollars going around, and I think it's changed my perspective on what our goals should be for the company. Everyone starts a company and wants $1 billion exit.
Yep.
And then you go, okay, this is hard as hell. So now like, how do I pay myself more money out of this business? And I think now we've kind of like fallen into a really good flow of what's good for us, good for the business, and still gives us a high potential for the outcome. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously nerve wracking, but you're in a majorly saturated industry. Like it's the same thing.
Oh yeah,
So are
mine.
you. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's ridiculous.
but you got to find a way to be better to your customers, give a better product, be
Yeah.
smarter, find new ways to market. And it's kind of the same for anyone doing what we do.
I don't think anybody really thinks on day one, except for some of these like startup companies that's like they innovate,
Yeah.
but that they're going to be a $1 billion organization. They're just trying to make money, and the next thing you know, they end up
Stop working for the man. That was kind of the main goal.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true.
I was about to ask that. Yeah, so it was just basically trying to start your own business. So you don't have to work 9 to 5.
Yeah, from when I was a young kid, I mean, you know, Tim knows this about me. I was the guy who used to go to Great Northern Mall and I was negotiating with the Dick's employees to buy the shoe off of the rack to get an extra 20% off. I was like, I don't care about that stuff. Started a lawn mowing company in Lakewood. My dad built me a wagon to carry around our lawnmower. I had 2 clients, but 150 business cards, I think. So I was like always entrepreneurial in spirit. And we were working medical sales for both of the same company for 5 years and great career. I mean, again, it's like I was making a boatload of money at the time, but I was like, well, this is just not what I want to do. I don't like reporting to someone. And so, yeah, just always wanted to do it. And this category made sense because it's a personal experience for us.
Yeah, and then you guys basically 10x your company in that second year, from what I've seen, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
Pretty quick. We self-funded, which I think for anyone considering, especially in consumer, it's the right way to go. Again, you have to taper your expectations of what's possible with each. Like we're considering raising money now, but self-funded, did 180K in the first 8 months. The next year, our first calendar year was 23. We did 1.1. 24, we did 2. This year, we're going to do about 2.75 to 3 on the high end if like these next couple months go good. So pretty rapid growth, but a lot of that was hyper unprofitable, negative cash flow. And that created additional strains that like he's super familiar with. So now it's like just finding that sweet spot of, like I said, like how do we do that within the constraints we have? How do we grow this thing the right way to meet the immediate personal needs, making more money, while also giving ourselves the ability to succeed and blow the thing up, which there's never been a $1 billion men's skincare company. Hailey Bieber, Justin Bieber's wife, just sold Elf Beauty for $1 billion.
Right.
Women's, but the category's massive. Multiples are good. It's increasing every year from like a global and US share. So there's a lot of potential.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
When you guys came up with that brand, Pretty Boy,
Yeah.
how did that come about?
Yeah, so it's funny. I mean, we're currently going through most likely a rebrand. The name itself, so 10 years ago in Ohio, calling someone a pretty boy, objectively an insult. You're getting called
For sure.
feminine.
For sure.
It's whatever. But what's funny is like, my co-founder, Kevin, he played football at Ohio State, like I said. He's 6'4", good beard, good looking kid, stays on trend, rocks cool clothes, good shoes, all that stuff.
Right.
And
That's awesome.
in high school, he used to he would wear the spatted cleats. He had the visor. He had the armbands.
He was
And
a
his
pretty
coach,
boy.
and his coach would be like, "Hey, pretty boy, get in the huddle." But like this kid went on to go play D1 football. Like he was a baller. And so we were like, okay, it used to be a negative connotation. Let's have some fun with this. Let's disrupt. Let's be memorable. And we've achieved that. But I think like we rely heavily on meta ads. And just real quick on that note too, is like you watch NFL games, you see, I mean, Joe Burrow was in Paris Fashion Week. He had a backless shirt. Like these guys come in like drip to the nines, going into the tunnels. They're all swagged out. So we were like, listen, everyone.
It's a different football nowadays.
But everyone wants to be a pretty boy. I mean, you guys even like everyone still you rock the cool clothes. Like people, we want to look good now. Look good, feel good, play good. So we did realize we rely heavily on meta ads. One of the key metrics like you look at is click-through rates, like what's your interest? And our click rates have always been like abysmally low. And so after 3 years of doing this and following every best practice for how to make a good ad and follow the different formats, we started to see like, okay, this isn't improving. What's one thing we haven't asked ourselves? And we've been surrounded by this positive feedback loop of our brand. Like Dustin Poirier uses our product, Max Crosby, Sam Hubbard, Freddie Crittenden, and I forget the other guy's name, but 2 Olympic runners this year are using our product. Like these guys all want to work with us. So we're constantly hearing from people, oh, this is sick. And even the people who know the name's a little bit off-putting are like, yeah, but it's memorable. It's cool. Like Liquid Death. Everyone thought Liquid Death was the dumbest thing in the world until it's blowing up. And so what we started asking people, and it turns out about 30% of our customers after buying tell us that the brand name did almost prevent them from buying. And that's only people who did purchase and only people who took a survey after purchasing. So add another 20% to that, easy for the guy who just sees the ad and goes, Pretty Boy for skincare. I already thought skincare was for women. Like, I'm going to be a little embarrassed to use this. And so we're going through that right now.
So you're short of the name, your branding, your outreach to your prospective customers was on point. To overcome that.
I think one of the big, if this goes as planned, and we think there'll be a palpable like inflection point, like we'll see clicks go up drastically just from not having a barrier with the name. I think we'll look back and go, wow, like we were super on. The fact we could even get to where we did, considering that barrier, will be a good learning lesson. And I always say, I think my co-founder Kevin is at times he handles all of anything you see from our brand. You're like, that's sick. Like that's Kevin. And I think he's been feeling very down on himself and his ability to do well at this as a result of things not going the way that we think they should be. And I think this will be a big, like you'll see that palpable change. And so the fact that we had to put all the hours in up front to get really good at the tedious, for lack of a better word, like smart stuff, like trying to be smarter than everything. We have to be so on point to make this work. When things hopefully become easier, I think all of those reps are going to just compound so drastically versus other people. You launch like Ghost and it just pops off. They don't have to do the stuff we've had to do until later, until they're doing 20 million, 30 million. They have to figure out cash flow, inventory planning, messaging, developing good ads because the product, everything was selling itself. Now we have a rock solid product and people come back for it. So again, like all these hard reps, I think eventually.
Yeah, it'd be like running with a parachute.
Yeah,
parachute
exactly. Great analogy.
Yep. No, that's awesome. And then I noticed that you guys have is it like a 2-step process? Is that really what the gap was? You thought coming into this is, basically less greasy with, less feeling like you have like something on you, and it's a shorter 2-step process because 10 steps ain't gonna work.
100%. Yeah. No, it's the simplicity thing.
Yeah.
Guys want simple. We're simple men, simple pleasures, simple wants. So for us, if you talk to any dermatologist in the entire world and you say, I need to start a skincare routine, what should I do? They're going to say you should wash your face, so use a face wash, and you should moisturize, and then you should wear sunscreen. Sunscreens are the only one of those that actually really matters. The other ones are more aesthetic. They make you feel better. They have nutrients and stuff, but like we can't make FDA claims against the 2 OTC products. The SPF has an FDA claim. So we're looking at this as like, how do we continue to over deliver on a very simple process that guys will actually stick with, because like the dermatologists even we have on our team and we talk to say things like, dude, I just prescribe people based on compliance. Like if I have a guy who doesn't want to do this stuff, I'm going to give him the simplest thing that you can do just to do it.
It's to do it.
And once you do it, there's other products that make sense. Like we're not going to only always have 2 products. You have to have more products.
Yep.
But it's kind of like, this is all you need. And then you get to like level 2, level 3. And like, if you want to become the expert who does the serum and who does the eye thing, we'll deliver on what we always say is intentionally and functionally different from something we have. And I think something you'll see in our industry is if you were to go and look at one brand and take 5 products, you would see the same ingredients are in all of those products, and they would just have like one different one.
Yep.
And that's how they market that it's different. Like to us, that's not functionally different. It's not intentionally different. It's just very clearly like a SKU play. So what we're trying to do is find ways to further innovate proprietary ingredient blends, products that can do things differently than what's on the market and differently than we have. So you really build out like a comprehensive routine based purely on what you actually need and want and what you'll stick with. So we don't trap you into like, oh, our bundle, this is the thing, a lot of starter kits. Yeah. The starter kit is 5 products. Yeah. So our starter kit is 2 products. And we go, this is all you need. Like, well, we're going to charge you a fair price. This is all you need. And then as we launch new things, our SPF's coming out next year, then it's like, this is all you need. But if you want more, here's how it's different. Here's when you should use it. Here's why you should use it. That's your choice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's simplicity is the biggest thing, especially for men.
And like you said,
me,
texture.
Like it's tough. Yeah. And then how it feels on my skin.
That's it.
I don't want to feel like I got something on.
100%.
That's really it.
And it has to work. And that's the other thing. It's like our product is,
the big thing,
it's good. Like guys they'll try something, but if it doesn't work well, then they leave right away. So we know other companies that do phenomenal on acquisition. It's like, oh, just pay for shipping, get everything for free. Yeah. But like they don't retain the way that we retain. And our product's so high quality, it costs more to make. We're priced more than our competition, like slightly, but it's because it's so much better. and it has to work. So
Yeah.
no one's going to keep using something that doesn't work, especially guys. Girls
guys,
will because
yeah.
they're like, this is my therapy for the week. And it's cheaper than a therapist.
So what were some of the early lessons you kind of learned or barriers you had to overcome early on? Because that's one of the biggest things in business is like that first like kicking the balls. You know what I mean?
Our first major kick in the balls
It
was
sucks.
we finally started to crack ads. We were scaling quick. It was February of 22. And at that point, everything we had been doing was marketing related. So it was just making ads, doing the emails and stuff like that. Once that point happened and we started to kind of like we were moving, we realized, oh shit, like we're going to run out of inventory. So we had to cut everything. And when you're playing the meta ads game, it's very algorithmically driven. You don't want to ever kneecap your momentum. And so like we saw that, and what two things came out of that. One, like a need for inventory planning, which we dove into. And B, like we realized that we didn't actually have a good understanding of our unit economics and like have any sort of financial model. So like that first kick led us to build out a full operating model, full cash flow. We started to be able to forecast correctly. We knew that if we increased spend by $20,000 a month, this would be what the volume would be. Where's the inventory going to shake out? Okay, maybe we should only go up 10,000 a month. Paired with that and the importance of unit economics, I think I in these settings, I always wanted, if anyone happens to listen and wants to do a product like this, you know, back to the business plan thing, I think that the best thing you can do if you're starting a business, and I talked to your other buddy who was thinking about starting the fitness product,
Yep.
is like you got to get your unit economics super dialed in. Like you just have to understand like at what point, and it can be that it's modeled 3 years down the road. Like I don't get economies of scale until I'm placing this many units. But you need to know that when you're at whatever your definition of scale is, that there is a business that's sustainable. So like in CPG, I would say you should never start a company with below 70% gross margins or product margin. And truly it should be even gross, but like you could do well with a lower gross margin based on like retention and stuff like that. So 70% product margin, I'd like to see that at like 85 to start, but between 70 and 80, that gives you a lot more money to then go and acquire customers, to pay for your delivery costs to customers, to invest in some of the OpEx stuff you need. So get unit economics super dialed in. Understand some retention assumptions. So that was for us like, okay, how frequently do people come back? Because your goal is at a minimum, retention is covering your OpEx so that all new acquisition revenue is just kind of like the cherry on top, and you should make that profitable. I think to that point, another big lesson that we learned was, you know, we burned $230K in cash from May until November of last year. And we had some of our highest sales months during that period of time. But like, when you're putting all this stuff on a credit card, and again, until you do the model correctly, you don't realize when that's going to catch up to you. But when it catches up to you, it catches up to you like a bomb. Like it just blows up. And so that blew up for us at the end of last year. And we this year is like we have to turn the P&L around like 100% and go focus on first order profitability. Just to kind of loop all that together is like understand your unit economics. We didn't know that initially. That was a big kick. Understand your inventory and demand planning, because especially with long lead times, like you don't want to be out of inventory for 3 months. You can suffice for 2 weeks, maybe even 3 weeks, back order some stuff, but get unit economics, get inventory planning in, understand if your business is a retention business, what can you account for that? And then really, if you're self-funded, first order profitability has to be your standard. If you have capital, then, you know, you can model out operating at a loss, but we're not set up to operate at a loss. And then the last one would be, even before I got really good at modeling and built out these comprehensive models, but as you guys know, like profit on the P&L does not equate to cash flow. So it's like now I almost don't even care what our operating model says. It's literally just a cash flow forecast, and if we're going to have enough money.
Yep, that's exactly.
And make decisions purely based off of that.
Yeah, and that's the hard part is when people start businesses, they don't understand. Like, if you don't know the economics of your business, like in detail, and then know the metrics where you need to hit, as you're going along through your plan, and if you don't hit those metrics, like what's gonna happen to you, like you'll get crushed.
It gets crushed, and it happens surprisingly. Well, do you have a partner in your business?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, and you don't, right? Well, you
Not
do
in
not.
not in advising.
Yeah.
But on the pet shop I do, of course. Yeah.
I thought we do that.
Well, the reason I
It's
bring
another
that up-
cousin.
Yeah. The reason I bring that up is like, and I don't know if you have different skill sets than your partner.
Yep.
He definitely does than Mike. I do than mine.
Yep.
You need both sides. Like, I think a lot of people go into this and again, you think about the revenue that's possible. You think about everyone likes to market. Like marketing's more fun than demand planning. But what you need is you need one person that's thinking in that lens and the other person that's like your source of reality. And so Kevin is always kind of thinking about how do we become bigger? How do we do something exciting? What's a cool marketing channel? What's a cool partnership? And then I'm kind of like, well, that's sustainable or it's not sustainable. So where do we meet in the middle to make sure that, like you said, metrics and everything that needs to happen for the business to work is happening, but also that you have equal parts energy going towards how do we find the next unlock?
Yep.
So I'm very
You
big on
definitely
having
need the dreamer.
two
is what
people
they call
inside.
it, the
Yeah.
dreamer in the group. Like
Yeah.
the fork. You need someone that's like the numbers person,
Yeah.
the person that. All right, listen, your dream is way too big. It
Yeah.
ain't gonna work. It doesn't happen.
Oh, yeah.
This is the end of that dream.
100%.
And then but you still need that person. You do need that person that like, all right, if we can do this, we can grow it to here. This is where we're going to be in 3 years, 5
Yeah.
years. I mean, they say a lot of the reasons tech companies take over industries is because they don't. Short term for us is like 6 months.
Yeah.
Short term for them is like 3 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like they drastically change their models, but that's the big thing in our industry is like short term. Sometimes for some people, it's a month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's tough.
But that's why you have to be, again, like you just got to be focused on like, what do we need for this to work? We didn't pay ourselves last year from, I think it was like maybe September, October timeframe until March of this year. So that's 6 months of no money and that's not
No,
sustainable.
it's not.
And then it was $1,000 a week, $54,000 salary living in California is not sustainable. Then it was $1,500, and then this week we started paying ourselves $2,000 a week, and that's $100. So now all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're at a place where I can live off $104,000, and with tax incentives that becomes $120 or whatever, and so that's like fine. And now we're in a good place. Now where's the next unlock? But it all to your point about 1 month, like if you're not set up to operate past a month, if you don't have profit, then you should not care about getting more sales. You should only care about getting profitable sales.
Yep.
Even if you grow slower, that's the only way it's going to work.
Yeah, our industry's taken a pretty hard hit over the last, like, let's say 3 years. Now that the Fed's starting to cut rates, people are actually profitable. But I mean, there's a lot of people that aren't. A lot of people. You see a lot of acquisitions.
Yeah.
You see a lot of that movement. And people don't plan it out. They don't plan. Okay, I need to reduce here. I need to increase here. They don't do the necessary planning. They're just like, all right, I'm just going to try and close as many loans as I can. And that's not a plan.
So I am curious in your guys, because I don't know much about it, in your guys' industry, like, when you're looking at macro changes, how do you plan ahead? Like what are changes that you guys make based on?
Yeah, so we
of
have
stuff?
cost per close metrics basically, and it's all in the different downlines. So you have marketing, operational costs, of course, and then you have your sales costs, then you have your acquisition costs, of course, through for marketing. So we have to scale that and kind of, if you know those metrics pretty well, like what it is really your cost per close, and you can get it pretty down, you can start to tweak some of those things, like by reducing staff or increasing systems, getting new systems available to get more out of each operational employee, because that's the best avenue, because then you can reduce your costs.
Yeah.
And then sales. Really, sales is driven right now by acquisition of people.
Right.
A lot of the people in our industry are acquiring people through cash flow. So like, hey, you come here, I'll give you $20,000.
Okay.
For a sign-on bonus, because they're bringing their book of business to you, right?
Right.
And now that the refis are going to become heavy over the next, let's say 12 months, that's what's going down in our industry is like, okay, we know rates are going to go down probably over the next 12 months. So now let's go acquire people with book of business that they've closed. So the issue is when you have the processor, when you hire a new operational person, there's a little bit of loss when they first start, right? Because you don't have enough volume to cover their hire. But as your volume grows, because you kind of have a metrics of like what each one should close, like this many units per person that you hire for this position. There's multiple operational positions, but that first couple months, they're not fully booked with the business. So you're losing money on them. So then you just got to be prepared to lose money on them and plan for that. So there's a little bit of that, but for us, like we were talking about earlier, low rate environment's the best.
Yeah.
And right now we're heading into that. And so what happened is like all these loan officers closed loans, let's say for the last 3 years. since 2021, so 4 years basically, all at a higher rate environment. So they're in the sevens, or sometimes they creeped into the eights for a minute, but they have all these loans they did in the sevens and eights. And now, boom, they have all this business that all, when rates go down into the fives and sixes,
Getting
say possibly
refi.
five, they can refi and just get
Yeah.
a lower rate and lower payment.
Yeah.
And then you were correct. You make less money on each one of those,
Yeah.
but
But
it's
you get way more volume coming
way
in.
more volume.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like triple the volume.
And how does it impact you? Do rates impact you?
Yeah, I mean, in the world of advising, theoretically, as rates come down, that's good for growthier stocks. But growth stocks have been working for a long time through the 0% up into the 5+ interest rate environment that we are just coming out of. I think kind of an all-weather plan of action is really the playbook from an investment standpoint. But it all kind of sets up well. The more value side is kind of setting up well, and you have this big boom from AI
Yeah.
that's propelling stocks, those growthier names, and in a lower interest environment, that is, something that'll kind of continue to propel them higher.
And low rates help everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, people have more cash flow, they spend it. Just what did we do?
Yeah.
Now, speaking of cash flow, this is something I wanted to ask. Did you have, I know how thorough you were on the front end planning this business. Did you have any sense the percentage of spend or the dollars you'd spend to acquire your customers, that marketing cost? Because I guess to add a little bit more, when you outline, we're priced at a fair price, but maybe a little higher than market, and you're a 2-person company, and you shared with us the revenue number, but then when you share with us what you're taking home, I think a lot of people would be surprised by that.
Yeah.
The cost of marketing.
Yeah.
Cost of marketing is expensive. So, and I actually just learned, this is a term I just learned recently and it makes a ton of sense. So, excuse me. One of the things yes, like we modeled our CAC, customer acquisition costs, when we started the business. Those fluctuate drastically. They don't fluctuate as drastically as rates by any means, but it's a similar thing where you go, okay, like if our CACs go up in the summer, summer's a lower buying month for just CPG. So CACs go up in the summer. There's more competitive products out there. Like you have seasonal products that enter the market. So you're competing against more people. You're going to pay more to get a customer. For us, and then I'll get to how much we're taking home. So there's this concept of natural CAC, which is specific to Meta. And what that means is, and it's not like a defined term that Meta tells you, but like what it means is basically, so we raise our budgets. It's kind of understood that, when you raise budgets, your CAC goes up. You're reaching a broader audience. So because you're reaching more money with the more money that you're reaching more people with the money that you're spending, your cost is going to go up. You're not going to have as high of a hit rate. If you're spending $1,000 a month, Meta is going to go and get the lowest funnel customers to come in. When you're spending $100K a month, they're going to try to expand that funnel for you. So natural CAC, and to give a reference for this, like we, in our first 6 months of the business, had like a $30 CAC, but we also had like a $30 average order value. So we're like breaking even purely on acquisition. And then you have, I got to pay my Shopify bill. I've got to pay my cost to deliver the product to the customer. If you have agencies, then, that all goes in. And so you start losing money. So for us, this natural CAC concept is basically each time you raise budgets on Meta, your CAC goes up. But there eventually comes a point where you raise budgets and your CAC doesn't go up as much. That is your natural CAC. And when you can find that natural CAC, what Meta is telling you is like, for example, our CAC for the past 30 days has been around like $60. Now, if I raise budgets by $50K tomorrow, I bet you that CAC, and we've done this, not that extent, but we've done this roughly. I bet you our natural CAC falls somewhere in the $75 to maybe $100 range. Once you do that exercise of keeps raising budgets and watching CAC go up, but then CAC goes up slower than budget goes up, you found this concept of natural CAC. And what Meta is telling you is like, hey, at this is the fair market acquisition cost of your category. You can spend infinitely at this number and you're going to still just keep finding people. So a goal for us, and to kind of go back to what you said, is model out the acquisition cost that Meta wants you to have. If you can sustain that, go to that. If you can't sustain that, you're going to be getting that lower funnel kind of piece, which should equal to profitability if you model things correctly. And then you also just need to be smart on the OpEx side. So again, like when we burned $230K, we were carrying we were probably closer to like 25, 30% OpEx. Now we're down to 12. So we leaned out. You need to look at like if you hire a marketing agency, you know, some of these retainers are between 5 and 10 and 15K. Like you need them to significantly outperform what you're doing. Otherwise, you're just carrying a retainer that doesn't actually help overall.
We found that out the hard way in our business.
Same. Oh, we've spent so much money on bad agencies, man. It's
Bad.
crazy. And like we just don't do it anymore.
Yeah, we tried when SEO first came out, and
Yeah.
way back in like 2009 and 10, wasted $25,000 a month on like just bad agencies.
Bad. And I think what I've learned about that is there is a time in which you should do these things. So like starting out, it's very easy to go, oh, well, I need the expert to come in. But if you don't have product market fit, if you haven't found your messaging angles correctly, if you haven't figured out your acquisition funnel, if you don't have your retention dialed in, then no agency is going to be able to, and this is what I say, like you can't rely on an agency to run your business or solve your business's problems. When you need an agency is when you've figured out a couple things. You need to increase capacity. You want to get more cooks in the kitchen. You want to get different perspectives. So for us, how that manifests is like with ads. My co-founder makes every one of our best ads, highest spending ads has been made by him. It's because he's the founder. He has a personal connection. He's authentic. But now we're starting to unlock, these angles work very well for us. So now what we're doing is we're going and getting other agencies to say, hey, we know what works for us. We need more cooks in the kitchen to make diverse ads, get more volume, get other faces in saying the same thing. But when you do that too early, so in the example of SEO, it probably makes sense to go and do like an outsourced freelance SEO person for a couple thousand a month. Hey, let's just start going and finding the keywords we can work with. Someone who's smarter than me, but is not carrying, I don't want to pay your HR person yet. Like, let me just pay you. Like, I'm not floating the rest of the business for you guys.
Yep.
And then you start to unlock things. So we've kind of gone through this path of, we worked with like some of the experts at the beginning, but they were too highly priced. We didn't know our economics good enough. We didn't know our angles good enough. So that ended up being a wash, not necessarily their fault or they were a bad agency, just not the right fit at the right time. To now we look at this as like, well, let's start with freelance first, get dialed in on what we can do there. Then let's double down on what we can do ourselves. And then you go and like, we just hired 2 creative agencies. We're going to hire another one that's going to be a percent of spend model plus like a growth and email person. But that's because all that stuff is dialed in. We know what to do. And now we're saying we want to increase volume, increase our capacity, get our time back to go work on things that actually move the needle more and get more cooks in the kitchen to get diverse thought and get new stuff coming in. Because like, no matter how good Kevin is at making ads, it is just only one brain. So he's thinking through the lens of his brain and what's worked. You need to go get someone who says, oh, this has worked here. I'm just a 180 spin on how we can show this.
Yeah. That's exactly what they miss out on is like, if they think they try to do it way too early, they try to start spending money on ads and marketing, and they don't even know what their script is for our side, how they're going to pitch it, what they're going to do, what their avenue is. Like they don't know anything about their own company and they're just spending money.
Well, it's because I think people are addicted to growth, and it's something I've changed on immensely. I mean, like we were growing basically 100% 2 years in a row, and this year we're going to grow a little slower, but we've been profitable. What month is it? So October. We've been profitable 6 out of 8 months, I think, or 7 out of 9 months. And so we did turn things around, and it came with slower growth, but we've been profitable. We fixed the cash flow piece of things. And once you get to that point, and in your example, it's like, you probably as the owner have to dial in the script first. And like, then you go get your first or second salesperson and you get them to further define it. Oh, can you unlock something new? Is there? And then once you've got that dialed in, then it's like, oh, now let's go get a sales team. Yeah. But if you just go get the sales team out of the gate and you think like we did this, where it's like, oh, we're hiring the agency. We were paying a $10,000 retainer for a marketing agency. But we didn't know that they couldn't do unless they were to become owners in the business. Like unless they know the P&L, unless they know the acquisition model, unless they know the cash flow situation, they can only do what they're supposed to be good at. And if you don't have your side fully locked in, and what gets nerve-wracking there is that when you do hire the expert, you go, oh, I can remove myself from this. And as soon as you remove yourself, things can go worse too. Yeah. Like you need to be confident you can remove yourself because you've validated and you're hiring someone to be a partner in that. Versus a foot soldier that you're saying, go do this and I'm out of this process because I want to offload it, but you're now responsible for running and fixing my problems.
Now, most of your people are third-party businesses? You don't have like employees and stuff?
Yeah, it's all, agencies. Yeah. I mean, I think there'll be first within the next 10 years, there'll be $100 million single founder, single team e-commerce brand. It's never been easier. We talked like in the past about AI and what you can do there. So we have a 3PL. They handle all of our warehousing, fulfillment. They also do our customer service, which is a major win because they watch the orders, so they know what's going on. So
The
so
call
they
for you when your third party's handling it.
yeah, they know exactly what to do. They're dialed in. They don't release an order if there's a question about the order. So they like that's great. And they also do some demand planning stuff for us. They're phenomenal. We have an email agency that's also doing some growth advisory. They've blown up major brands. Like these guys took Bombas socks from 0 to 100, MVMT watches from 0 to 100. Laundry Sauce is a popular brand right now. They're working with that. So they're doing that. And then we have these creative agencies. And creative is one that's very easy to look at because it's purely the creative is either going to work or it's not. So if it doesn't work, you get rid of them, you give them enough of a trial.
Yep.
And this pay to play, we're doing a percent of spend with one of them, which I think is going to be interesting. We haven't done it before where if you meet KPIs, we'll pay you 7% of all ad spend on that creative. But if you don't meet KPIs, we cut it and it's $0 out. So like I, as a sales rep, like in my past life, I love a commission model. Like, yeah, I'll pay you to go win.
Yeah,
like if you can,
that's it. I'd rather pay
if
per
you
win,
suck,
right?
then I
Yeah.
don't want to pay anything. And so that'll be interesting for us. But that's really the only outsourcing that we have a video editor, a graphic designer. Again, we used to work with agencies for that. Now we're doing that in house, and it's more cost effective. It's more they get dialed in on our styles. Versus just relying on the agency's team to do it, and then you spend more time back and forth with no, I don't like this, not in brand, you know.
And you're paying for everyone.
And you're paying for everyone, exactly.
Yeah, you're paying all those no's. That's the thing is like they're just going to add a spin on it. That's great advice for people.
Yeah.
It's like don't go until you know what your brand is. Don't go and pay someone to make it for you.
100%.
Yeah.
And even just to reiterate, like I do think growth is addictive, and it can get you into a really bad spot. And it only works if you have a product that goes viral, and we all want that. And the ones who do are way rarer than we all think.
Yep.
The amount of bad birdies that have tried to start that failed, tons.
Yeah.
And
It's like trying to make the NFL. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that tried.
It's a
didn't go
dopamine
nowhere.
hit. You
Yeah.
see sales going up, you're like, oh, this is awesome. We're going to be doing 10 million this year. But then all of a sudden you're like, wow, I have $0 and I'm in debt. And it's just not worth it. Like,
Yep.
you'll feel so much better. And I sleep way better now that we have stabilized. And even if we're growing slower, I'm like, yeah, but I don't have to like wake up in the middle of the night with like cold sweats. And
Yeah,
that's like worth
People don't realize like there's a big difference between gross profit and cash flow.
it.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
And I know people that close more loans and make less money.
Yeah.
And it's all because of what they're paying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So it's great advice. So when you guys are putting it all together, what do you think your biggest operational headache right now is?
Demand planning and inventory purely because, so for example, like our CAC 2 months ago was $100. Now it's $60. So that leads to significantly more volume. We can
Yep.
raise budgets, but we're staying true to like, we've proven now how to run this thing. So it's like, okay, as much as we want to go dump money in, we don't have the inventory to do so. So we're
Yeah.
just going to go sell what we have, be more profitable on that. We're in the middle of transferring manufacturers.
Okay.
So like the story there was these guys were perfect for us to launch. Do you remember the EOS, the egg shaped like lip balm that was really popular like
Yes.
10 years ago?
Yes.
Yeah. So they launched them. We got connected with them. What they do is they basically serve as a middleman for us. So in our world, there's like contract manufacturers. That's your lab. They handle everything. They can do turnkey, which means they're going to source your bottles, source the formula, make the formula, fill everything. Then you could do each of those steps individually. And then you have what we launched with, which was like basically a middleman. They basically take a 20 to 30% cut. It's hilarious. The co-founder, the woman of their husband-wife team, and Millie one time like accidentally told us what they make on us, which I think I'm way more of an open cost person where I think it makes more sense. If you really want to be partners, just like I would rather you be like, our margin on you is this. So everything that's not our margin, let's work together to make better. We're not giving you up our margin, and I can then make a decision, be like, hey, the other guy is this. Do you want it or not? I think it just leads to more productive business, and people are so tight
They
about.
try to cover it up so much,
And
and
I'm
it ends
like-
up coming out anyway.
It's just
Well, I was gonna say until the young man at Dick's Sporting Goods goes, you know, now that I know how much you're making, what do you say you knock that down a notch for me? Give me a little discount.
But so we do this middleman thing. So they take 20 to 30%, which was fine for us. I would rather have professional, like this is what I tell our 3PL. I'm like, dude, you guys are amazing. The least amount of times I have to talk to you is the better for our relationship, because I don't want to spend time on logistics. Like, that's not fun for my business. And so with them, we're starting, what's happened with them is not only the cost piece, but the lab itself. We have really bad lead times. So we're like 5 months from PO to delivery. It is friggin' impossible to plan 5 months ahead in our world. Like, you can get rough with that, but you definitely, it's very difficult. And so if you want to avoid sellouts, if you want to maximize budgeting for marketing dollars, so we're switching with that. We're going to lower our COGS on the product side by at least 30%. We're going to cut out the middleman fee. So that's going to be big. And the lead times are going to go down. So the biggest operational headache right now for us is making sure we have enough inventory so that when we catch momentum, which, like last week, my co-founder launched an ad that's a potential banger. These are the times where you want to have a bucket of cash to just dump in and like ride that out. And when it starts to fall off, taper back. And we can't dump that bucket of cash right now because we don't have the units. So the better we can get with that. And that's where we're looking at different funding strategies to say, you know, instead of having to live just purely based on like what we can afford to pay in inventory, it'd be nice to have some extra cash to be overcapitalized on inventory to make sure that doesn't happen and have it all factored in.
Is there a timeline in your inventory? Like, you
No.
can sit for a while.
Yeah, I mean, unopened. It's technically we have a 1 year stability test done. No one's real. We're never going to hold more than a year of inventory.
Yeah.
It actually probably lasts longer. We just had to pay for the additional testing. But I mean, we order in basically 10,000 unit increments, and that's about 2 months for us and increasing. So we're never going to be sitting on
And
inventory
then it's just trying
long
to bring your
enough.
cash flow enough to buy
Yeah.
enough inventory so you
Exactly.
let it sit. Do they charge you like a fee the longer it sits in their warehouse, or is it just you're already paying?
No, I mean, our 3PL is funny. He's told us they make the worst margin on us. We've brought him like a boatload of new business. And the way we found this guy was we had December of 2023. Again, this was when we had our like major pop. We went from our highest sales day ever being 6,000 in a day to 12 days later, 25,000. And we were like,
Wow.
yeah, I was like, we're retiring in 6 months. This is going to be awesome.
It's tough when you don't, though, right?
Yeah.
And then you redo the inventory model. You go, oh shit, we're running out of inventory in
Yes,
2
yes,
weeks, and we
2
don't have any
weeks.
more coming for 3 months.
Damn.
So we went from spending 5,000
Oh,
a
yeah.
day to 200 a day. Totally screwed that momentum. But the reason I bring that up is that, so this guy found me. We had during that time, our warehouse at the time in Pennsylvania had a cyber attack, and they were down for 10 days over the holidays. Customer service was miserable. They weren't saying anything to us. I've got customers canceling orders. Like, what are you going to do about this? Zero communication. They were blaming other things. I've told the story a couple times. The guy heard me tell it once and reached out to me. He was like, you shouldn't say that about me. I was like, I'll stop using your name, but sorry, buddy. Like, you fucked up. Excuse me. And
Evie told me to ask you not to use
it's a swear.
profanity.
Yeah, I know. I've been doing it.
But I just slipped a little
Yeah.
bit too. Edit this thing out.
Sorry.
I'm really working on my mouth. I have a mouth of a
Okay.
sailor. And
Me too.
so this guy though, I call him and he goes, hey, I hear you're looking at other warehouses. And I was like, yeah, man, I mean, like, this has been a cluster. Like, what do you mean? He's like, well, that's really makes me sad to hear, you know, as I've been using your product for the past 6 months, but like, I might have to find a new moisturizer. I was like, you freaking like, dude, my $38,
Yeah.
sure, go. I
Go.
literally do not care about you at all, but the $20,000 impact you just had on me.
Oh, God.
And I was like, this is embarrassing for you. The guy's probably mid 40s. I was like, it's probably got to be pretty embarrassing and humbling for you that like a 30-year-old just had to put you in place with customer service. I was like, I was in sales my whole life.
Yeah.
The one thing any person in customer facing relationship knows is like, nobody cares about how good you are when things are going good. It's like, what do you do when shit hits the fan?
Yep.
And when it hit the fan for us, these guys were non-existent. And I was like, that's just pathetic. Like, you should be embarrassed about this. And he left a voicemail. I was like, hey man, I'm really sorry. You did put things in perspective in me. I was like, yeah, like go buy your $10 moisturizer somewhere else. I could care less.
You're pissed.
But so our
Trust
3P,
you.
the reason I
Yeah.
tell that story
Yeah.
is our 3PL now, he found us. And so no, they don't charge us storage. one of the things that you see in 3PLs is they do this whole, like, they have like 20 line items on their invoice. Here's your account management fee. Here's your pallet storage fee. Here's your additional label, additional pick pack, and all these different things. And my guy comes to me and he found me in a forum about this. He's like, let me just help you through this. I was in Europe with my fiance at the time and we were skiing. I'm taking calls at like 2 a.m. European time. And he's like, let me just help you through this. And he walks through the whole process. He's like, this is what you should do. Go talk to these people. He's like, and then a week later, he's like, by the way, like I have a 3PL. I'd love for you to consider us. If it's not the right fit, like I will tell you. And that process, he was like, we do single line item invoicing. This is just your cost. It's per unit. Just like you don't have to think about it. The store, everything's baked in that needs to be baked in. This is our best fair price for you. And his level of partnership has been super impressive and like a weight off of our shoulders in this whole process because like, again, you don't want to be worrying about those parts of the business. Like that's not where I go and get an extra $1 million of sales. That's just problem mitigation and management. And they've been amazing, but yeah,
That's the hardest part of business is getting partners and people to do their
that
job.
you can trust.
You don't have to worry about it.
Oh yeah. I told this guy,
just give up on worry.
he's literally like, if people ever reach out to you, like, please let me know, like, give us a chance. I was like, Brian, I seriously don't even know. Like, yes, if someone comes in and they can do what you do for 50% less, which is economically not feasible,
Right.
I was like, then I'd have to consider it. But like, you've got a pretty freaking long leash. Don't worry about us. We have zero reason. And to your point, like, even with our current manufacturer, I've had this conversation with them where it's like, guys, you're not helping us and I don't want to leave. We have an award-winning product. Like people love this product. We've sold millions of dollars of it. Like I have zero desire to leave, but if you don't give us a reason to stay, we have to. And to your point, it's like, I would rather find people that with our 3PL right now, like we will stick with this guy indefinitely. If there's a point where he can't do our volume, then we'll have to go somewhere else. But he's the type of guy who would literally buy a warehouse to do our volume. And you just want to find those people that you trust.
Yep.
And you stick with, eliminate problems.
That's the same thing in our business is, a lot of our business does come from referral based.
Yeah.
From like realtors or investment planners. And that's what I tell the guys. I was like, they need to not worry that when they give you a loan, that it's not going to close.
Yeah.
And if you could take that worry off of them, they'll give you all their business.
That's a great point.
Because it's just like, what if I don't have to if I know that every time I give somebody a loan, I'm going to be fine, they're going to give you all their loans.
Yeah.
Because that gives them time
they'll
to focus
probably
on their
sometimes-
business instead of yours.
They will probably sometimes even be down to pay an extra point or
give you referrals from other realtors.
because they just go, this is
here's
easy.
another realtor. Here's
Yeah.
another realtor.
Here, you need a loan, go to him. It's going to be smooth.
Yeah,
You're not going to feel like you got gypped off.
Right.
Like, and
I
that's
gotta
what
worry
you
about
want.
it blowing up in the middle of the loan process.
what you want.
Yeah. Same thing though. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a huge benefit when you partner with somebody that literally takes that relief, takes that nervousness off you, and you can just like focus on other shit other than their stuff. Oh, it blows up.
100%,
It's the
man.
best thing about business.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So you were talking about some of the products, right? The
Yeah.
product's amazing.
I got to get you some. I don't think I sent you some after. I don't think I got your your address.
I don't think you did.
We got to get you
But-
locked in.
Yeah, for sure.
You are the ultimate.
I am the pretty boy, right? Yeah, for sure. I look like one.
Tim's like, I told Tim about our
people.
products before. Tim's like, dude, to be honest, I'm probably not going to use this. I'll use the sunscreen when it comes out, but I'll give it to everyone that I know. And
I
was
do
like,
use it now.
All right.
Tim does use it now. He does. He was
And you
telling
probably
me he
feel
uses
better.
it.
Yeah, I do. I like
Yeah.
it. I especially use it if I'm going out to do something. Like here, I
Yeah.
got it on.
Yeah,
Can you
let's
tell?
go. Yeah.
You're like, it's not how
Need
the
that
product
camera
works.
face.
That's not how it works.
You're like,
Tim.
it's not how it
No,
works.
It doesn't make you prettier. It makes you feel good.
Yeah, you got to
Keep
use
your
it
skin
regularly.
good.
But
yeah.
I do like it.
So you guys are coming out with some new products as you were talking about. So talk a little bit about those new products you're coming out with.
So sunscreen's coming out. So right now we have the face wash, the moisturizer. Like I said, those are both OTC. It's actually technically not even an OTC. It's a cosmeceutical. You can't claim things.
Yeah.
Like instead of saying like heals acne, we have to say like reduces the appearance of breakouts. Like you got to be like very wishy-washy with like you cannot tell people it's going to physiologically change something on their skin. Even though it can do that, to do that type of stuff, you have to get FDA claims. Sunscreen's coming out. That's the most important part. When you try it, you'll know what I'm talking about. He knows like the sunscreen is going to feel exactly like that moisturizer,
Just phenomenal.
which is insane
Yeah.
because most sunscreens are disgusting.
Yep.
The reason people don't wear sunscreen is it feels gross.
Yep.
Otherwise, everyone would. A lot of people don't know this, is that you can still get a tan from wearing sunscreen. You're just blocking the UV piece of it. So you can still get the color you want, but people don't like to put on a greasy, oily, whatever. So the sunscreen's next. That's going to be massive. And that's the only thing like we have dialed in for lined up right now. Like I said about functionally, intentionally different, one of the big things that I'm focused on, my co-founder does, like, again, he's an innovative guy. Like, he's creative. He likes to think in different form factors, in what's a trending ingredient, like where can we maximize the marketing story. And so we had a call last week and I told him, hey, kind of go wild with what you want to do next. My ask is that we focus on increasing cart size. So for us, back to that CAC relationship. So the higher your average order value is, it means you can spend more to go get that customer. So down the road, the vision is like, hey, you have your base routine, and then we want people to come onto the website, take a skin quiz. What are you trying to target? I'm trying to target fine lines and wrinkles and aging, redness, sensitive skin, eczema. So you fill out a quiz, and then eventually we'd like to have, here's our acne line, here's our aging line, here's our baseline, and kind of like get very specific. And that allows us to also keep it simple, where you get your two-step system for each category, and then you layer on additional things. The challenge with going down that route right now is, so if we have one face wash that's the base face wash, and then we have the other face wash that's the acne face wash, now each customer can only pick one. They're only going to pick one. So you carry extra inventory on the balance sheet, and you're making them make a decision between two products. Where I'd like to see us go is, what is a product that makes sense, that can be a very clear in the cart, oh, add that as an upsell. Get that cart size bigger. So some of the things that come to mind, retinol is like a very well-known ingredient for aging. Yeah. Like, that's one that actually has a ton of science between its ability to firm the skin. Guys lose collagen faster than women. So at 30, your collagen, which is what makes your face tight, like, which reduces the sagginess as you get older, that is like an ingredient that is very important for us. So like we could do like a retinol product, and that's like a clear, here's your two-step system. Once we have the sunscreen, here's your base routine, the 3 steps. But if you want to take that next step, add this to your cart. You get a discount for that. Eye creams, like, interestingly enough, a lot of guys do reach out to us. They go, oh, I'd like an eye cream. And our whole thing is like, our product's gentle enough to use on the eyes, has the same ingredients that you would use, but you can increase potency, get better results. So maybe an eye cream. Other things, like his family was over last night for dinner, and we were talking about it. Maybe we could make like a DOP kit that now your whole system comes in your new DOP kit, and it's, we could build in a way that here's clearly the moisturizer pouch. We do this travel bottle that's empty that you can put your cleanser. So next down the roadmap, we want to get more specific with skin concerns and become, in a sense, like we've talked about, being the proactive for men, like, very tailored, very science driven, very custom to what you want. But before we can get to there, we need to focus on the ops of the business, which is like, we can't carry additional SKUs that don't sell at the same velocity as the other ones. We need to maximize like sell-through rates and turn rates of the inventory. So what are SKUs that we could add? Face masks. A lot of us, like, we joke about it. Our girls, our moms, our fiancés, sisters, whatever, like, they do all these routines. Sometimes you don't want to do it, but like when Coralie, my fiance, is like, hey, do you want to do a face mask tonight? I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, I'll do a little spa night. We sit and watch TV and have our face mask, and it feels really nice. So you can start adding in products like that again, increase cart size, should have a faster sell-through rate than if you're making a person decide between two options.
Yeah, I had a roommate that did all that stuff.
Yeah.
He was a dude. He had like more skincare than
I love it.
a ton of skincare. I mean, it was aggressive.
Face masks. Hey man, people like
it. It worked though. I mean, he's good looking dude.
Good looking dude. And there is a therapeutic sense to it. Like, it feels good to do things that take care of yourself. I need to. My co-founder gets them all the time, but like I've never done like a pedicure.
I've been thinking about that.
But I've got the most disgusting nails, and so but like you do these things, and they do feel good. Like you mock them, and I think there's an angle for us with that with marketing, which is like you mock it,
you do, but
then when you do it, you're like, oh damn, this is pretty nice.
Yeah, it does.
I'm down. Book me next week.
100%. Yeah, my buddy worked for LG, and the Koreans are really big on their fingers. So you got to consistently keep his up.
Oh yeah,
he's a big linebacker, like, dude.
Yeah, that's funny.
He was just like, I had to constantly get, but he loved it.
I mean, sometimes when I look down at my hands, you go, that looks unprofessional.
Unprofessional, it's gross.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's how they do.
Yeah.
Where he works.
It looks unkept in that regard.
No one wants to be that dude anymore. It's not cool to be a caveman, all that stuff anymore. And we're trying to change that.
That's awesome. You're talking about some of the compliance stuff. The compliance stuff in my world is just insane. Especially since the may collapse. You know, it's starting to loosen up now that, you know, the new president
Yeah.
and the new cabinet and all that stuff. So they removed a lot of the CFPB stuff. Like the compliance for your world's pretty crazy too, right?
Yeah,
What you say at least.
It's definitely, it's kind of like a necessary evil.
Yep.
But I'll give two examples, pro and con. Pro is there's a lot of BS out there. In the supplement world, you see this a lot.
It's crazy.
Like there are knockoffs. So for example, I've got a buddy who runs a creatine business, and they apparently, and I'm going to misquote this, but apparently there's only like 2 labs in the entire world that can actually manufacture the creatine that
Yep.
meets X standard.
Yep.
But you go on Amazon and you could find thousands of creatine supplements, and you have no way of tracking what's right and wrong. So like
Yep.
certifications matter. I like that we have the seal of acceptance from the National Eczema Association. There's different ones. I think certifications are smart. They're good. Have some way of objectifying the criteria that goes into this. For us, again, like, you know, and it's an internal battle between Kevin and I. Like, he's a marketer. He wants to overclaim and give the craziest claims that we can. Now he's not lying, but he's like, well, like, can we just say it this way? Because it sounds better.
You just can't claim it.
And I'm like, dude, I know it sounds better, but like, we actually can't do that. And we're right now going through this thing where there's an independent board. They're the NAD something. They basically go and review brands and go and find marketing claims that they don't think would pass the sniff test, and they make you prove them. And we're going through this right now where they came and saw some of our claims, and 2 of the 3, one of them we just shouldn't have been using. And thankfully it was a small one. It was like trusted by 20,000 people. And they were like, well, where is this? You have like 1,000 reviews. We were fusing together our reviews. Plus we've gotten like how many customers we've
Got
got.
to keep coming back. Yeah. Yep.
So I think that's important. In our world, the way it works is basically a lot of people think skincare is not regulated. It is, but it's regulated through 2 different lenses. One is if you're making claims that are scientific, related to the physiology of the skin, preventing skin cancer, healing, those have to be backed by data and they have to get the FDA. You're allowed to claim, like I said, reduces the appearance of dark spots. Like that's like in this in between where you're basically telling your customer, like, it has the ingredients to do this. Results may vary, but like the ingredient used does do this, and you'll see what your experience is. So I think that's good. And that's the compliance for us with the FDA. Yeah, it's tough, but for example, with our sunscreen, it's not exactly that it's tough because they get formulated in the right way. Like they're formulated in a sense that is, yes, like when you use these ingredients at these concentrations, then this SPF factor originates and there's the output, and you go get that tested through third-party labs and they say, yes, it meets the claim, and boom. It's just really expensive. The inverse of that, specifically sunscreen, and where compliance in the FDA in the US, I go back and forth on, is like, there are ingredients that are used in other countries' skincare, sunscreen ingredients in Korea, in Europe, that we're not allowed to use. And, it's funny because there's almost like this inverse relationship. Like the UK is way more restrictive on what ingredients they've banned plenty of food ingredients.
Yep.
They've banned cosmetic ingredients. And they approach it through a lens that I disagree with, which is more like they look at a lot of animal studies and they go, oh, well, because this showed the propensity for cancer in this animal, but it was used at 10,000x the concentration that a human would ever use, we're going to take the safe route and just not use it. And I think that's BS. But then somehow they look at some of these SPF filters and are like, oh, this is okay, and we're going to use this. But the FDA is like 10 years behind these people. So what I would rather see in our industry is a focus on studying new ingredients, allowing for innovation, not being hyper restrictive, and getting more ingredients into the market that allow people to innovate. And as you can imagine, yeah, the big sunscreen companies lobby against wanting new ones, because if new things come in now, which is weird to me, they're at the advantage anyways. They have the money to go do it. So use the new ingredient, make a better product. But for people like us, if you want to innovate, it becomes very difficult. You just use the same stuff and you rely on form factor and texture. But it's difficult, but it's not insurmountable. I think compliance in your guys' world is probably more restrictive.
Super restrictive.
For us, it's not restrictive. It's just a step in the process. Like you got to check the box, but when you do things the right way, you can. I think in like what you guys do, I would like to see more you know, we've talked about this with like, you need certain certifications like trade options.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think overall that's probably a good thing. I also, you know, it's not maybe the most PC way of looking at it, is like, if you're willing to give somebody else your money to invest it, like you're already taking a risk. And you should, if you say, I want you, maybe yes, you should have to contractually say, I want you to do options. And maybe you should have to disclose something that says, what is my comfortability? How good am I? But like going through the additional steps where everyone, it's like, it becomes so restrictive that for both of you guys, it probably closes off things you could do purely based out of not wanting to go through the legwork.
Yeah.
But there's also probably a pro to that, like, you know.
There's some pros to that.
Yeah.
The creatine one's great though, because I was watching a video the other day where they tested those really popular creatine gummies on Amazon and literally had no creatine.
No creatine.
No,
It's crazy.
None. Zero.
It's crazy, dude.
Like zero.
That's
they couldn't even find it.
unbelievable.
They couldn't even find creatine in the gummies. It's the number one selling gummy, or one of them. I don't think it's the number one, but it's one of them.
Well, and
Like, I was
Amazon's
testing
kind of a joke with this stuff. I'll give you another example of that. My buddy runs an alpaca wool sock company,
Okay.
and they're called Hollow Socks, and their whole pride and joy is
This
like,
guy's got a guy for everything.
When you get in that industry, you meet them all.
You do.
Because they probably have conferences you guys go to.
yeah,
and stuff.
conferences. I'm in forums. I'm just kind of like a relentless pursuer
Learner.
of connections.
Yeah, connections.
And my theory on connections is like, if you're willing to give me your time, and I wanted to talk to you about some AI stuff because I did go and mess around with some Zapier stuff after our call, and I got some stuff working, and I need to keep layering it. My thing is, if you'll give me your time for free, then I owe it to you to listen to your advice and take it seriously. And so I think we have a good track record of, we've gotten some really big names in our industry to give us a lot of their time, but we follow what they say. So they at least know, okay, it's not falling on deaf ears. No one wants to have their time taken and then the person just like doesn't do it, doesn't report back. So we do that. But this alpaca sock thing, there's a knockoff, and Amazon's garbage at this. And it infuriates me because they do a terrible job at eliminating scam companies. There's a bunch of Chinese sellers on Amazon that are just putting BS out there, and there's no way of getting removed. Trademark violations, infringements, all this stuff.
It's tough for them though too on their side to figure it all out too, because it's like you have to put so much effort into that.
There is, but in this example, it's a reseller who's marketing alpaca socks. They had a third party test it, 0% alpaca wool. And so if I'm the guy,
0% alpaca,
crazy,
it's
man.
crazy.
So if I'm the alpaca guy, I'm like, this is
pissed.
bullshit, dude. Like,
Because it's expensive to get
It's
alpaca.
expensive.
Yeah.
Alpacas aren't cheap.
Yeah, these guys are selling it as the same price.
It was just
but
a
their
wool
cost
sock.
is probably 90%.
Yeah, 90% less.
Yeah.
Yeah. In our world, compliance is pretty crazy. Yeah. So the same thing with you. We have marketing issues and stuff like that where we can't. But the big thing in that, we just brought it up, is the AI stuff for us.
Yeah.
And it's really hindering our ability to actually utilize AI because we're so compliantly heavy. We have like robocaller rules and rules of how you can call people and when you can call people and how long you can call people and how many calls you can make to those people. So using like AI for outreach, especially with texting and phone calls, of course, email, you can flood someone's email like every hour. There's not a big issue, but texting and phone calls, we get crushed.
Did
Our
you
oversight
see?
on that stuff is crazy.
Did you see the Texas SB 140 bill? Are you familiar with that?
No,
Well, you probably should. It's they put into legislation that basically everyone who is, the legislation was intended to cut down on scam calls.
Yep.
So basically everyone who is a telemarketer now has to register with the state of Texas, and you have to carry a $10,000 bond, or you have to put up $10,000. So there's like bond people are doing it for like $100 deposit, and you'll have your $10,000 bond.
Yep.
But you have to bond yourself, and basically they're trying to cut down on the scams. Now, where it impacted us was we use SMS marketing, and we have double opt-in consent. But everyone saw this law come, and like the language in it was way too broad, and everyone was like, we technically, the way this is written, fall into this. So there's a flood of companies like mine going to register, getting the bonds. It was like 9 pages of documentation to submit to the Attorney General's office. You guys probably actually would fall into a category that needs to know about this. I don't know if you do business in Texas, but
we don't do enough
Okay.
business. That's why I don't know about it.
so that's probably why. But it's an interesting law, and a big SMS provider, marketing provider in our world sued the state, and they got a stay on the decision and basically said, yeah, you guys are not supposed to be included in this. Anyone who's using your service is automatically protected. We're good. But to that point, yeah, like as AI comes, and I mean, you hear the horror stories, like people do get scammed. So like you got to teeter that balance. And I was actually asking I think it was, I was talking to your dad about this. Like with the robocalling, how are you guys using it? And to what extent is the person on the other end supposed to literally think it's a real person versus making it so seamless that the concern is less about whether the person's real or not, and you're more about optimizing, say, a workflow?
So it's mainly used in our industry for setting appointments for calls
Okay.
and for follow up for like documents.
Okay.
It's really not.
Like outreach.
It's outreach. Yeah, it's not. It's not sales yet.
Okay.
The best I've ever seen so far in testing, but it's expensive, is the one that the person types on the type on the keyboard while they talk. So when there is pauses, it almost tricks your brain into thinking,
Someone's
oh, they're just typing.
taking
That's why
notes.
they're slow at responding. Because if it's a dead silence,
Then it's weird.
It's weird. But if there's keyboards in the background, it totally. And for me, I've tried them all. Basically, it feels like, but that one right there made the most sense because it was like your brain almost gets tricked. But it's mostly so like for outreach, for setting appointments with realtors to make a coffee appointments, calling for you, calling clients to set up appointments to have a conversation with the loan officers, or when there's documents required, it'll take it from the database of what's needed and then create a conversation asking for those documents. And it gets to a point where if it needs more help, it tries to create a transfer, checks availability, and then if there is the availability to make it, it'll literally start calling the person while they're talking, while AI is talking. And if they do pick up, it'll create a transfer moment if they need help or if they can't get the
That's sweet.
actions. And then they'll try to call them while, if they start asking, it picks up buying questions almost like when it's having that initial, I guess, conversation.
Yeah.
And if it notices that this person's interested, it'll call the number, ring to everybody, and then if someone picks up, or if it's for one specific person, if that person picks up, it'll then create that transfer moment.
It's fascinating, man.
Yeah.
How do you see AI in your world being productive? Like, where are people starting to use it? Where will it be not able to be used due to compliance?
Well, one thing comes to mind. I mean, it's so expansive, AI's influence, but I'll comment on one particular aspect, is financial planning software. So there's, a number of bigger players in the space, and intuitively, they're either leveraging, the maximum they can out of AI, or AI will replace their software.
Yeah.
And software was, not a huge dollar spend, but one of these line items that you would expect any financial advisor or firm to have across, their business. So I see that having a pretty significant change. And then I think intuitively you can imagine it's going to influence so many different things, including, down to the investment products that are available and things constructed by, an AI bot.
Yeah.
They're going to have to make a lot of changes in our world for laws. For it to be active, because even for the processing standpoint, I feel one of the bigger pickups we're going to get is going to be it to do the actual operational side of things.
Yeah.
So you can reduce the employees and
Needed.
increase the amount of work each employee can do, and build from there. But there's laws against you have to be licensed to process in some of these states, or you have to be a employee of the company. So AI falls into a third party system. So for instance, if I have a processor and they work for me, they're automatically covered. So they're good. They don't have to be licensed or nothing. But if I want to use a third-party processor that doesn't work for me, they have to be licensed in Ohio to do loans in Ohio.
So someone's definitely going to get...
So AI is not... It's third-party.
Someone's going to eventually get an AI agent
Licensed.
that is licensed.
How do you license the AI agent?
Yeah.
Because it's
going to have to meet a pretty rigorous...
It's got to take a test.
But what's crazy is, I don't know if you guys saw this, it was a while back, they've done these studies. So they did one that I saw with surgeons or doctors triaging, and the AI did better than the doctor triaging.
Kills it.
So you're going to start seeing, in that world, it's not going to be that difficult to get it to pass a test.
In diagnosis, it's up 60%. In most diagnoses, it's increased the ability to diagnose early by 60% in most of them.
It's crazy. So I have a question for you guys, because I was talking to someone about this, who's a creative strategist, and how do you look at the trade-off of mental repetitions and accumulating knowledge with maximizing output and productivity. And specifically, the example we were refining or looking at is like, and this was one of the things I was trying to do with Zapier, is like, so I could theoretically set up, a spreadsheet that tracks all my creative outputs and how they perform as ads. And then I could push that through like Zapier, and then it could go into ChatGPT and or any of the other platforms and say, well, analyze this, and then here's a swipe file of all the creatives we've run, and so you can visually see it, and generate me new ads that compound off this. And I was talking to this guy, and he was like, we actually have implemented zero AI into our creative workflow because I am a firm believer that I want my creative strategist actually thinking, and it becomes too easy to rely on the output that you're not going to get the same level of diversity of thought that you would with a human. And that made sense to me because I know I get better at writing ads when I write the ads. Now, I've been using AI to generate me scripts for more things and concepts. And there's a certain knowledge. I think, my fiance, for example, is an engineer at an AI company. Like, I think if you are a true expert at understanding how it works, the prompting aspect, you can probably jerry rig that in a way so that it is accomplishing or closing the gap. But at the same time, I think that there is merit to the human element in a lot of these things is what can be the differentiator between good and bad. So to your point, I think like operational workflows makes tons of sense. Like, how do you feel about creative workflows, sales scripts, having your employees do the hard work, the mental reps needed to become better, to become smarter?
I think loan officers will get down to just gold call, rate call, and closing call.
Yeah.
Like that's really the three steps. Because like the gold call would be like, hey, a real person will have that conversation about what your goals are, so that. But in the background, it'll help them. It'll be recording it, and filling in their application, and
sentiment
filling
analysis
and all that stuff. Yeah, you got it. So it'll help to grade their call afterwards and tell them where they could change things. But I think that has to be human for a while. Creativity is definitely human for a while.
Yeah.
Creativity is tough because it doesn't have life aspects to draw on. So I agree with that person but I would if I was doing that, I would still run my metrics through AI to see what's working best, so that I know where to focus my creativity towards.
For sure. And one thing we did that was really cool, and I told you this, you told me this, and we were talking about it on the call, is like, one thing I've learned now where I'm trying to get the most productivity out of AI for myself is actually using it to teach me how to do the thing I want to do step by step. And it can do things that I can't do. So an example is I wanted to build a creative tracker in Google Sheets that has every single creative. So we label each creative CRX, whatever the number is. So CR1, CR2. I wanted it to help me name everything automatically following our structure. I wanted it to, from a data dump, aggregate metrics specific to that creative. And then I have performance dashboards. I wanted performance dashboards that go by hook category, by angle, by persona, by format, by time length, all these different things. And so what I did was I was like, help me build this creative tracker. I want it to be as automated as possible. And I just used ChatGPT to go step by step, where it was literally saying, okay, first make all of these tabs in your sheet. In this tab, drop this formula here. In this tab, drop this. So now it built me something that some of these formulas, man, like even my fiance was like, and she knows this. She's like, that's a freaking, like, these are like multi-line formulas in Excel. And we looked at this, and so it's really cool now. I've got this thing set up to the point where all I have to do is put in what is the next CR number. And I have all these validation lists and drop downs that I can be, okay, it's this hook. I name it so that we know, okay, let's be intentional with our naming, or intentional with each option that we pick, so that then for analysis, we know, are we getting good at whatever? And it automates that whole thing. I data dump in all the performance dashboards, update immediately with, this hook category has spent this much at this cost per click, at this click-through rate. And so that's where I've been trying. My next step of my journey is to do more automations, and I'm trying to figure out the places that the automations itself will help. So I could use Supermetrics to automate the data pulling into the sheet. That would be one. But like, I'm trying to just use AI to do more straight teaching, like step-by-step instructions. And that has been
That's
like
huge.
wildly impact.
Yeah.
I mean, I never in a million years could have made this sheet.
Never.
And
There's things I'm making. I'm like,
it's crazy.
I have zero skill set.
Yeah.
I just literally followed instructions.
I'm just fun. Yeah, but
I'm like a chef that followed instructions.
but I don't think either of us are meant to be like. I don't think I'm meant to become an investment banker level
No.
Google Sheets whiz. Like that's not what I'm going to be doing. So having AI be able to help me do that has been massively impactful.
Yep.
And you do learn through the process. So even though I couldn't go replicate that formula from scratch, I can look at the formula and now I see, oh, I've never seen it use that equation. Google, what does this equation do? Oh, I understand what it's doing. Even if I can't write the thing, knowing that I understand why it does what it does and I understand what the calculation's meant to do, and then AI builds the full formula has been like a very, very cool thing for us. And we've seen like a lot of that. I've been training more GPTs to be more in our tone. So like now I have briefs that I can just go in and say like, make me 5 unique static ad concepts for this. And then that's where I do my wordsmithing. I go, oh, like, great, that is a good concept, but now let me just do the rest because I can speak it better than you.
Yep. I think that what it's going to do is it's going to help people because there's a lot of data points that people have to track and understand to create the metrics or to understand
Yeah.
the metrics. It does it all for them.
Yeah.
So it'll give them, okay, this is where you need to focus your attention. Now you're going to have to do the attention focusing.
Yeah.
But or the creativity,
But it's
or the phone
circumventing
calls,
the steps that you wouldn't do yourself.
and a lot of
realistically.
stuff you may not even recognize.
Exactly.
Like for me, at least our industry, there's going to be people that don't even have KPIs, or anything they track that are now going to all have things they track, and they don't even track anything. It just does it for them because someone's going to make a system. The company they work for is going to create it. It's going to pull the data in, and then it's going to feed them the data and say, okay, here's what you should be focusing on. All this other stuff is worthless for you. It makes you no money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the screen sharing stuff has been, and I learned that from a guy that was doing it in radiology. I think we talked about that. And the screen sharing stuff where you track what someone's doing on a daily basis to reform their daily activities.
Yeah.
That's going to drastically
Change
change.
again.
Yeah. At least for us.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people that do things just in bad order or don't follow a process that's more efficient. And that'll increase that person's day-to-day activities.
Yeah.
For at least my industry. Sales is tough because sales comes from experience. Eventually, it's all gone. You know what I mean? For everybody.
Yeah.
When is eventually 30 years, 10 years? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's tough.
But at the same time, and I get into this argument with Greg, his brother, all the time. And Greg is like the most AI doomsdayer. Like he just sends us headlines every day of like AI's taking this and this. What were you going to say?
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't agree with Greg per se, but I appreciate his perspective on it. That is generally his bend.
But my thing, and maybe I'm too much of an optimist with this, is, for example, like I said, there will be a $100 million single founder, single employee company in my world in the next 10 years. I feel very strongly about that. And what I try to say to Greg in these arguments, and he doesn't agree, is so everyone likes to just generically state productivity goes up. And I think that's where you're going to lose a lot of people because you're going to look at it through the lens of today and you're going to go, okay, sure, they're more productive. What are they doing with that? But when big innovations like this happen, one, we can't actually forecast. I mean, we're so young in this. No one, even the experts, because they've refined their predictions like every couple months. Like they're coming out, they're like, oh shit, it's going to happen in like 2 weeks now. It was going to be 5 years, now it's 2 weeks. What's going to happen is in AI, I could spin up a website with a prompt, fully functioning website. So now, okay, you no longer need a web developer. So you've had this idea, you want to make X widget, and you thought it was impossible. Now I don't have to get a website. I don't have to make ads. I don't have to be good at creative design or graphic design. I don't have to make videos. I don't have to get a camera.
Wild nowadays.
And so now you get to this point where I think like no one is yet training themselves to think just like, what is a way that I could maybe use this to change something in my life for the better? And instead, everyone is so focused on like, oh, is my job going to be lost? What's the minimum way I can use this to like try to use it in the way everyone else is? Whereas I'm going, try to think outside the box of something that you could never do unless this thing could do it for you and see if you can use this thing to get you closer. So I think there's a chance that in the next 30 years, you have over, I mean, this stat is totally not right, but like it's conceptual that you would have over 50% of the population has their own X business.
I'm just like
And-
you. I'm the opposite. I'm the optimist on it, but I'm like utopian society optimist. Like I think we're in this like we're coming towards the probably a little bit past the middle of the bad haircut phase. So we've been growing our hair
That's
out,
funny, yeah.
right? And it looks like crap, right? And we're just getting to start to see the ability to get a little bit of a long haircut. We're just coming out of looking like crap, and if we cut it, then we're screwed.
Yeah.
And it'll go the wrong way. But if we just keep riding this train and everybody keeps a positive mindset, we'll end up with long hair and look amazing.
I'm with
And
you.
that's where
Although
I'm
my
at.
long hair, I grew out like the most massive afro for the past year. Dude, it was freaking nuts. And I looked like Bob from that 70s show. It was really not a good look.
Right.
So in your specific example, for me, I think the haircut was a definite benefit. But in yours, you keep letting that hair grow.
Right. But I think
mane.
it'll look. I think we'll end up at the end of this like extremely set up. Like it's going to be further advancement that people understand. Like it's not like, oh God, it's going to take over jobs. It's going to change your entire life. Like from genetic modification to longevity to what you do on a daily basis to home building to just jobs in general or life in general. It'll drastically change all that once it's going. Now that could be 30 years. I could be dead and it could be my kids.
Yeah.
But
Well, and also think about like, because your parents last night at dinner asked this question, and everyone like the tariff thing, which has impacted us.
yeah.
But the way that I position this, and I'll tie it back to what you just said, is like, I think we need to define what the goal of a society is, or like what defines fulfillment. I think, you know, the families that 100 years ago, dads were working 12-hour shifts in a factory, who now work the standard 9 to 5 and get to spend an extra 5 hours with their family each week. Like, is that a net positive? I would argue it is. Like, I would like to think that my life's fulfillment will come more from spending way more time with my family and being financially sustained to a point where I don't have to worry about money. Like, that's a goal I have for myself, is how early do I need to stop relying on a paycheck to support my family, and I could do projects for passion. So like with the way I look at this with the tariff thing specifically about, they were asking, well, why are you still making your bottle in China? I said, well, one, because it's insanely cheap. Two, because they're better at precision tooling than we are. And part of the reason that happened is because like when the UK went through their industrial revolution and we were behind them, they had all the factories and the air quality sucked and people were working these jobs. And then they grew out of that. They got more industry. They got smarter. So America went down the industrial revolution, and then we did the industrial revolution. And now we're past that, where we don't want to have factories everywhere. We don't want to be doing steel making jobs everywhere. Let's go get someone in another country to do that. And China's going through their industrial revolution, and they will stop soon. It might not be too soon, but that will eventually stop. And then it'll be Cambodia, and it'll be India, and it'll be Vietnam and Taiwan. So if you're looking at it through the lens you said, I think for me where this becomes very important is that if the end result of AI, and it needs to be weighed against the lack of humanization. So if people become weird cyborgs and no one has human connection, like that's a loss, I think. But until that point happens, we need to do everything we can to prevent that from happening, where we all just live in a screen and a helmet and we're like socially inept. And maybe that just happens eventually and there's new fulfillment in that. I have no idea. But until that point, I'm trying to look at this stuff as like, does it actually give me the opportunity to get more time back on my hands and make more money for my time? Like, every time is a finite resource. You want to spend the least amount of time doing things that you don't want to do. You want to get the most money for the time you spend on something, financial freedom. And there's never been a more clear path to that happening than AI. But yes, there's a ton of cons that can come with it. Like any new drug or any type of new vice, like when you overdo it, there's negative effects. People need to be smart about this. And that's why I said, I'm like, if I'm a person right now who feels overwhelmed by AI, and I told this to Chris, his younger brother, he was like, I feel like I'm falling behind. And I was like, we're all falling behind.
Let's say we all are.
Yeah, we're all falling behind. But here's a couple of things. I said, why don't you, one of the first things I did when my first crack through with AI was beyond just chat GPTing a question or write this better for me, was I was like, take everything you know about me and give me 3 things that you think I could use AI better for.
Yeah.
And it spits out, well, you spend a lot of time in here on this. You could make a prompt to do this and set up an automated workflow to do this. And I was like, well, that like is a net positive. Like
Yes.
that, I should do that. There's no reason I should not do that. You can't tell me there's a good reason. And so starting with people approaching it as like, this is when we talked about it early on. I was like, dude, I was like, you can go and put in, I have X pieces of food in my fridge. What are 5 recipes I can use?
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
But that's like, I told this to your mom where I was like, everyone is so overwhelmed by this, but like,
Use it for simple things.
is it
first.
better for you to waste the food in your fridge or to say, what do I have in here? What's 3 recipes I can make with this so I don't waste food? Net positive. So think in terms of what are things that this might be able to do. Ask it the question, see if it can. Do that a couple of times. If you feel that's better, like there, you're on the right track to adopting in a way that's productive and valuable to your life. The doomsday thing, Greg's always sending me, Waymos are going to take over Uber. I'm like, well, one, I don't think anyone's life goal should be an Uber driver. Like, I don't actually.
Oh, I don't think. Listen, I've made a $1,000 bet 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I said, there's no way people in the future will own cars.
And why should
you? If you can get a car, and it was because I read a study, if you can get a car to a door in under 5 minutes, people won't own a car. A lot of people.
Yeah.
It'd be more of a luxury. If I can click a button and have a car at my door in 5 minutes, and it can take me somewhere in under 5 minutes, I won't own a car.
Yeah.
Maintenance, I'd pay a membership fee. I said, that's where it's going to. And that, there's an argument I got somebody. I said, that's exactly what Tesla and Uber are doing.
But people
they're
say
getting
that's bad.
logistics and they're getting self-driving.
Yeah, but people want to say that's bad. And I go, well, it's the same. My mom and I got in this argument about the factory thing. She goes, well, 50 years ago, like working at GM, like you got a good pension, you made good money, and that was like a good job. And I'm like, yes, I think there's a recency bias and a nostalgia bias that like, what was life better? Did people live in 400,000 square foot homes back then? Like,
it is 100% what you just said.
Yeah.
Like when Charlie Kirk got killed and they're like, well, this is crazy. This never happens. I was like, go back.
Yeah,
Look
dude,
back.
political violence is actually down.
90s, 70s, 60s,
Yeah.
50s, 40s. I mean, every decade you can find at least 5 people killed that were high level
Yeah.
people. I just think, like I said, we're in that weird bad haircut phase where like random acts of violence are more because normal violence is lower and life is easier.
And everything's on social media, so you
Yeah.
just see it.
Oh, it's obvious now that
Yeah.
the minority is the majority. You could pay 50,000 people to attack your website and it's over.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
over. And it's 50,000 people. It's nothing. It's not
Yeah.
even a city.
Yeah. So I think with this stuff, it's like there is a recency bias, there's a nostalgia bias.
Yeah.
There's no way that you can actually say that people are worse off now than they were 100 years ago. And there's a callous piece of this, which in the gig economy, like in the Uber driver thing, yeah, like Uber drivers is no longer going to be a job.
Nope.
But is that the standard that we should consider whether life is good and bad? Like, I don't think so.
Correct.
And with AI, so yeah, you get swapped out, gig economy's gone, you can't Uber, but you could literally use AI to make the same you were making in your Uber driver if you just put in the effort to finding. It could start a company. It could
Starting a company is a big one now. It's going to be a lot easier because
way easier.
one of the hardest things you have, at least in my industry and in most industries I talk to people, is like, I can't get employees. I can't get good
Yeah,
employees. I can't
you
get
got
good
unlimited employees now.
I can't. Unlimited.
Yeah.
And they're all like, for me, delegation's tough because it's like, if I hand that off, I need it to be, I wanted it at my level, but hey, even I'll take 80%. And sometimes it's not even at 50. Well, now it's automatically better than me.
Yeah.
And I'm just handing my job to someone that's even better than me.
Yeah.
So it's a big benefit.
No, I'm with you, man.
I think there's another layer to this because when you touch on AI, you can't help but focus on the technology and the advancements and the ease of doing things and this, the expansive manner in which you can address any number of things that you couldn't get a website up in a day or do any of that. There's a whole nother conversation, which is like values based.
Yes.
So the value of individuals, the core values which we live by, technology doesn't enhance that. And in some respects, we'll use social media as an example, or as AI is just accelerating the rate in which you can gather everything, understand everything, experience any number of things, or this idea of having some sort of like astronaut suit on and you're just experiencing all the things you'd ever want to experience. There is a deviation from like, simplicity is bliss, or leaning into that part of being human. And I think that's probably an underestimated piece of just the the progression of society from a technology standpoint.
Yeah, but technology is the creation of utopian, right? So,
Yeah.
like you were saying, like technology creates the utopian society. Utopian means the ability to basically utopian society, you get to enjoy life more.
Yeah.
You get to
But-
enjoy the better parts of Earth more. You get to go on those vacations because while you're on vacation, someone's doing your job better than you can. You know,
Yeah.
you get to do stuff and enjoy stuff more. The only hard part is it's going to remove all of the adversity. And when there's no adversity, we go crazy.
What I was gonna say, but that's only if the only thing to get out of life is enjoyment, and it's not.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's certainly enjoyable to enjoy things, but that can't be our sole purpose for being here. I don't.
So I can tell you right now, I make less money now. Now I can't say 2000. I made less in 2022, but right now, as a whole, the income I've made, if you take out the last 3 years, what I'm making in these last 3 years is well below, like not even close to what I was making previously. You know what I mean? Just because the market's just it's trash. That being said, I am happier now than I ever was because now I actually get more time to spend it with my family and doing things with them. So level of happiness of what people call happiness, mine's higher by probably as much as I am down on income.
But I
So
do
even
wanna-
though it's like income is a thing that drives your happiness, like the ability to enjoy and understand. But again, it depends how young you are. Young people, it's tough to do that. As you get older, your ability to do that becomes a little bit higher.
But I agree with that. I do agree with what you're saying. And I do think that's where, for me, where the biggest focus and restraints need to be done. And again, like this is where the callous piece comes in. Is like some people will do this, others won't. Some want the easy path. Some want the pure satisfaction, gratification, immediacy, whatever. Is going to be how do we maintain humanism throughout all of this? And I think that does need to be a focus. In your situation, you just said, like, yeah, I don't know if I would be happier if in 30 years, family time was all of us throwing on our helmets and going to tour Yellowstone via VR.
Sure.
But overall, I lean more towards optimist in this world. But I am with you that I don't think that the purpose of life is solely the human definition of enjoyment. And so we're going to have to find ways to maintain keeping those things priority, developing human relationships with your kids, with your families.
Perspective is a big piece on enjoyment. It's like you just mentioned it, adversity. If you have no adversity, how enjoyable is all the things that you otherwise work to enjoy?
Yeah, no, it's proven fact that you do utopian society. You have
Yeah.
to create a virtual reality that's almost realistic or as close to realistic as possible to create adversity. Because if you don't have adversity, then they did the study on billionaires' kids. If you don't have the adversity, drug use and self abuse or suicide is through the roof.
Yeah, I believe that.
Depression. So you'd have to create the utopian.
But same as what you
just
said, I think fulfillment comes in different ways. Like I am way happier now. I was making $180,000 a year working medical sales and wasn't even working like an insane amount of hours. So I had zero adversity. I was spending money on everything I wanted to. But now I'm making way less, but I'm way more happy. I'm more fulfilled with that. I have ownership of my life. I made a company. I'm doing this and I make less money, but it gives me a significantly more fulfillment. So again, I think it does go back to technology is always going to change. So we're on this earth and it's very clear that we can only influence things so much. Like, 200 years ago, I don't think they thought AI was coming or whatever. It's like, this is going, this snowball's happening. We can't prevent it. I don't believe in any further I would absolutely despise if governments banded together and said, we're not allowing anyone to use AI. That would be the worst thing ever. I don't want the control and the restriction. So I think it benefits you to approach this issue with like some level of philosophy, and you should educate yourself on what it does mean to be human and what leads to fulfillment, and read the things that make you understand what that's going to be for you. But at the same time, be excited about it and say, well, this is coming. How do I maintain what you're saying?
Yeah.
But also find ways to not fall behind and get just left out and fail purely due to resistance.
And that's my perspective, is that it quite obviously is a technology in which you should embrace because there's so many benefits. But I am someone who clings very much to what I introduced into the conversation.
Yep.
And I think finding that balance as a society, as a world, has proven at times to be very difficult.
Oh, it'll be Very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
But it's also been very
Who knows,
difficult
they
at
may-
plenty of other times in life too. And that's, again, I go back to recency bias, nostalgia bias. Like when the computer came out, I mean, yes, this seems to be very different than computer, but like,
What's the
it
movie
is
they made
still
when it
just-
first came out? That movie where the war games, where the
Yeah, yeah.
computers launched the nuclear missiles.
Yeah.
'Cause
There's gonna be
people used
crazy
to
shit,
think
man.
that computers were going to launch nuclear missiles. They were going to create this.
yeah.
I mean, again,
And now people use computers to launch nuclear missiles.
right. I don't think they may be able to make the happy chemical. And we just all take it.
Yeah.
Who knows? Nah, I'm just kidding. I agree though. Like you will have to create humanism, and you'll have to do again perspective though, because like I like connections and I do it fairly often, and so for those that don't or are afraid of it, that may be those.
Oh,
are
and that's
the
getting
issues.
bad too.
That'll
It's the
get
same
worse.
as what COVID did. Like,
Yeah.
COVID removed human. Like there's gonna be. It is a constant battle to stay grounded in reality, to face adversity, to deal with it, to find fulfillment, to develop relationships with your family, your friends. But those have always been constants where you just have to. Those things require work, no matter what. Now it's getting easier to not do the work, and that's sad. And there's people like you see kids now are apparently literally like have best friends with AI, and I'm like, you're just a loser, and I don't think you should be doing that. And your parents should be preventing this from happening.
Okay, stop it.
But that's all based on the fundamentals of I don't have kids yet, but raising kids right, having good values, having good morals, and when life introduces new things, also making sure you stay on top of it to not fall behind. And that's where my mom goes with this like factory thing. I'm like, Mom, it would not be a net positive for us to be manufacturing
No.
plastic skincare components in the United States. That is a
Right.
net loss for freaking every single person in the world, because also the people who need the money more than us won't be getting it because we'll be paying someone here who has way more skill sets than to be sitting there. So
Awesome.
I don't know, man.
I agree with you, 1,000%.
Yeah.
I'm on the positive side of all this. So.
Greg's just in a tough spot because he's an actor. So he's just like, man, this thing
Oh, they're gonna take him out.
ruin me.
It'll ruin him. It's gonna ruin all of them. Like social media. Like I was looking at it the other day. They can create avatars that
Yeah.
almost look real.
Yeah.
They're very close. So that
And we're
means they're
within
Yeah.
2 years of this
Of
stuff
this.
really launching in the mass.
and you won't
public
have
market.
you'll just create yourself.
Yeah.
Voice, face, just doing whatever you want you to do online. And so that's the hard part. Is like
Yeah.
movies will be completely AI driven,
Yeah.
and so will
Which
social
will suck.
media.
I mean, I
posts.
just want more Farleys, but we could get AI Farley.
we can get an AI Farley.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah, we could. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you being on here today, man.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you
was
very
super
much. It was
fun.
super
man.
cool.
Always good.
I
I appreciate
appreciate
you
it.
taking
Yeah,
the time
thanks.
to talk to me that other time about
Yeah.
this stuff because it
Very
did.
good.
It was the catalyst to me being like, okay, I got to actually go beyond just, hey, here's my question.
Yep. No,
So-
that's awesome. But I appreciate you being on today, and thank you for telling us about your product. It's an awesome
Yeah.
product. So
Awesome, man.
thank you, man.